Hey there everybody, my name is Kat Bowser. I'm your resident fantasy therapist and welcome back to my channel. Those of you here for the first time, welcome. My name is Kat Bowser. I'm a licensed therapist. I'm also a writer working on my first 2 novels. One start of series, one a standalone. And on my channel I like to talk about what I consider to be the heart of writing. That's the characters. And the heart of their characters is their psychology. So that's the angle I like to take with pretty much everything I talk about on my channel. So this week, I am doing a special week. It's actually the reason I didn't do a second video last week for my friend Michele Quirke. I hope I'm saying her last name right because I'm really bad with last names. Who is releasing her debut novel, The Fire of Treason, this Friday on ebook. You can actually order it now already on paperback. And I wanted to do a week kind of talking about topics that kind of popped up in her book. So no spoilers, I promise you guys that. So I just wanted to kind of dedicate this week to kind of celebrating that accomplishment of hers. So those of you who have been on my channel before know that whenever I do a special week, I usually start it with the book review, and that's what I'm going to do here. So those of you who have not seen any of my book reviews before, I typically do it with, I give you guys a brief summary of the book, usually from the back cover, and then I give you guys what I liked about the book, what I thought needed work, and what I thought was unique about the book. And I end my reviews with what I call a psychological realism scale. And what that is I take either plot elements or characters or things of a psychological nature that popped up in the book, and I give a ranking from 1 to 5 on how accurate I thought they were. I never give a 5 unless it's either a true story or based on a true story. And this is just kind of my way to give you guys an idea of what the book is like and see if it might be something that you want to pick up. So that being said, we'll just jump right into it. So starting off, The Fire of Treason. So I'm going to give you guys just the basic summary from the back cover. Princess Elizabeth has always idolized and supported her older brother, but when Greg is accused of treason and banished, her loyalty to him is tested in ways she could have never imagined. As she leaves her luxurious lifestyle behind to join him in exile, she must learn to cope with everyday struggles of the working class, all while keeping her true identity a secret. Facing new hardships and the looming threat of execution, Elizabeth will need to toughen up if she has any chance of surviving outside the palace walls. Prince Gregory spent his entire life trying to prove himself worthy of the crown until his banishment releases him of all the pressures and obligations that have chained him down. Although he has no intention of raising an army to defend his birthright, he soon learns that not everyone is content to let him just walk away from the throne. With his sister's safety and well-being to consider, Gregory must make a decision that will change both their lives forever. So what did I like about this book? The best thing about this book is the characters. I loved the 2 main characters especially. There were some really good side characters as well, but I want to focus on the 2 main characters because they really are the heart of this story. And that's good because they're at the center point. I always like characters that are kind of taken out of their element, and that's what happens especially with Elizabeth, is she's put in this situation where she's used to being a royal and growing up in luxury and things like that. And she's having to learn that outside of that luxury, life is not easy. So the thing I like about her, and I actually want to talk about this in a later video later this week, is that she has very distinct flaws. I mean, she is spoiled. She's been raised as a princess, so she's used to all these things being done for her, always being available for her. So now she's having to deal with the fact that that's not the case anymore, and she has an adjustment period. And I really like that because all too often I think people are taken out of their comfort zone and they just automatically adapt, and I don't think that's realistic. So I'm really glad that we don't see that here. But it doesn't make her unlikable. It actually adds another layer to her because we get to see into her mind and how she's processing all these things. And it's really fun to see how she deals with it and how she rationalizes things and how she just copes with things. So that's always fun. Gregory is just a sweetheart. I really like this character. And you can tell that this prospect of banishment is resting hard on him, but at the same time, it's kind of given him a gift in a way too. And so he's kind of having to go through what each of those means for him while having to deal with his younger sister. And I just think he's done very realistically. You can still see the privilege in him too, but not quite as much as Elizabeth, which makes sense because he would have been going off to war and dealing with politics and all these kinds of things. So he knowing a little bit more about the world makes sense. And I like that he has that knowledge, but he's also not an expert by any means of being outside the royal life. So I do really appreciate that. What did I think needed work? We don't see a whole lot of the villains per se, or I'll use the word antagonist. I think that's a better term. They're still fine and they serve their purpose well. I don't know, I guess I would have liked to know a little bit more about them, but at the same time, because we're following Elizabeth and Greg, it makes sense that we don't see a lot of their viewpoint. And I'm hoping that in future books we get to see a little more of kind of their insight and what's going on with them. So I don't necessarily count it as a weakness, more so as this wasn't the book to focus on them, if that makes any sense. So I just would have liked to see a little more of that. I'll leave it at that. What do I think is unique about this book? It's a sibling relationship. I have such a hard time finding those. Usually in books it's a romance or, it's close comrades, friends. But I really enjoy a sibling dynamic because one, you don't see it very often. And two, there is a lot of room to explore like their family, their past and stuff, because they have that common denominator together. They share a past, they share a family. And I like the angle she's taking with it, in that each of them has the past that they're dealing with, and they deal with it in different ways, but they both have also experienced some of the same things, and that gives them a camaraderie, which I like. And I'm a sibling. I have an older sister, so I really relate to sibling relationships, and I really enjoy when I see them pop up in books because, like I said, I don't see them very often. And if I was going to give this a psychological realism scale, 4 out of 5. Easy 4 out of 5. 1, the trauma. There is some trauma addressed in here. I'm not going to talk about who or what or whatever. It is in here. And I think it's addressed very well and very realistically. It's not always directly in your face, which I think is actually a good angle to take, because I think there is this stereotype that people that are going through trauma are always in this state of utter and complete panic, and that's not necessarily true. She presents it more as someone who is trying to cope with and learn to process this trauma that they're dealing with. And so it's affecting them, but it's affecting them in subtle ways that they don't always pick up on, but the reader can. And I think that was a very smart angle to take, and it's one I don't see done very much, so I appreciated that. The other thing, the realism, the siblings. Like I said, the sibling dynamic is wonderful. They interact with each other not as friends, not as rivals, but as that nice in-between that siblings are. Sometimes they argue, and they argue about, sometimes it's important stuff, sometimes it's petty, silly things that siblings get at each other about. And it just adds this level of realism to their relationship that I really appreciated seeing. So all in all, I rated this book 5 out of 5 stars. I think I blew through it, and I think like 3 days, I think it was. It didn't take me very long, because I just enjoyed reading it. I enjoyed going on this journey with them. There is a lot of historical research that went into this, and you can tell. You can tell she did her homework, let's put it that way. And it really pays off in this story that has a fun relationship at its center, and one that I don't see very much. Deals with characters that are so much fun to follow, and just leaves me interested in what path they're going to take, because I don't think it's going to be a traditional one that you would expect from this kind of story. So that is just my overall review of the Fires of Treason. I'll leave you guys a link below where you can pick it up if you are so inclined. And like I said, we're going to be doing essentially what I call the Week of Fire this week. So a video each day, each one relating to a topic that has something to do with this book. So I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, if you have any comments or suggestions, feel free to leave them below. I'll get to them as soon as I can. And if you don't want to miss when I upload, make sure you ring that bell so that you can know whenever a new video of mine goes up. I try to upload twice a week when I'm not doing a special week. Once at the beginning of the week, once at the end of the week. And if you guys ever have any topics or suggestions you would like me to dive into, let me know, and we'll see what we can do. And until next time, hope you guys stay safe and have a good one.